Hello, welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is a show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world all about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Isaac Anderson, and today I get to sit down with musician Derek Day. Without any further ado, here's the interview. Derek, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. I want to start at the beginning of your musical journey, just like I do whenever I talk to any other artist. So, Derek, what is your earliest musical memory?
Oh, that's a great question. Earliest musical memory was like maybe it has to be with my mom, or no, it's probably like the one. I don't think it's. I think it's like the Beatles one album. Just like listening to, I think that's a great best of kind of Beatles album. Just in the car, like driving around like South LA. I think it was like Please Please Me or Love Me Do was playing, and that really stuck in my head, as well as it's either that or like my mom playing like Bee Gees at the house while she was like cleaning. And so like, or like ABBA. And so that kind of started getting, really off the wall. That's what it was. Cause she loved disco. So she like played some Michael Jackson and stuff. And that like that, those melodies just like in your brain immediately. Anyone who hears it, you're like, oh, that's so that's probably the first one. I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5 years old.
Did your parents play music, by the way? I don't know if they were like big on making you play music, or if they were like musicians themselves, or they just wanted to see you play music. I don't know. How exactly was that?
They never played music, really. We have musical family members, like my dad's brother in Poland is a great guitar player, blues guitar player, and my mom had like her father played some acoustic guitar and stuff, and in Honduras and stuff. So we have like sort of that distant relative, but they don't play at all. But my mom likes to sing just at home, and actually they were a little reluctant at first for me to become a musician. I have 3 older brothers, and we're all kind of like leaning toward music and like learning what music was and like banging our heads. So they're just like, oh, college maybe first or something. But no, now they're the most supportive people ever. So,
did you ever have like somebody that you can recall that like, maybe like mentored you to play, or like, was just like maybe always gave you the right words of encouragement, like in your family and maybe not in your family? I don't know. Was there somebody in your life like that?
Absolutely. Like the first person ever to like put something in my hands was my eldest brother, Valdemar. He's just, I don't know. He like, when he learned something, he would just show it to me. And right now to this day, he's an incredible guitar player. And a great songwriter and lyricist, so I would, thank him for that. And then my second eldest brother, Kenneth, would show me another side of the guitar. They're both amazing guitar players. So just those 2 brothers really like were like, here's music, and like learn that music and like, kind of thing.
Obviously, you have played with tons of artists that are massive. You've made a name for yourself in the music scene, have a lot of awesome things that have happened in your career. We'll get into it in just a little bit. But was there a moment in your musical upbringing that you kind of thought, oh, this music thing is not just going to be a hobby, this is going to be my career path?
That's a great question, man.
Well, thanks, bud.
Yes. Maybe there was probably a moment like walking down Santa Monica, the 3rd Street Promenade. Like there's, they're known for having, and also like Hollywood Boulevard, but really that promenade had a bunch of guitar players and stuff. And like, I knew I took an interest in it as a business when I was super young, like just as a little kid, like watching guitar players jam on there and drummers or whatever. So I was like, this is really like, it just looks really fun. And I see people are getting tipped for it. But then like when I started learning like Zeppelin songs when I was like 10. So when I was doing that, like the solos and stuff, I was like, why is this so easy? And it just felt really cool. And then I learned how to play without my eyes closed. And I was like, this is like a feeling. This feels good. Like, I'm just like all like happy to do this. And then I think, right around 10 I was like, I really like love this. And then when I was 12, I started doing like talent shows and stuff. I was like, this is what I'm doing. I gotta, like, my PlayStation broke, and then I was like, what am I gonna do? I like forgot about my guitar for 2 years, but then I picked it up again because everything was breaking. So I was like, I just got really into it again. So yeah.
first thing I really picked up on in your music was that sort of energy, and it was just this really sort of exciting nature that came along with it. Obviously, you're an incredibly talented vocalist, songwriter, and guitarist, but just all this stuff that you had in there, it was all these different blends of labels of rock. It was even a little like, R&B in there. I know you have that on your website, like you have all the different blends, but even before even looking at your website, I got that from your music. Did you go into this project knowing like I want to combine all these things and make this, or was it just like that's just the music that just pours out of you?
Dude, yeah. I mean, like, yes and no. Like at first it was just like, whatever, like starting to listen to disco at such a young age, I was like really into this one type of music. But then having an older brother that was like, here's a guitar and here are guitar songs, that pulled me that way. So there was a subconscious thing of like, I kind of like listened to different things at a young age. Like there's this and then there's that, and I never thought about it. I like the style kind of formed itself like that, and the singing as well. But then at one point, I started like. Whatever kind of free classes I could take after school or whatever. Like there's a lot of like just free programs after middle school and in high school. There's this really good one, CAPSA, that was here in downtown LA. And it was a lot of work, like 9 to 5 and like every day for all of summer. So I would go to school and then go to that for all summer for 3 years. And it was just like, but that was amazing because those were like Cal State teachers and more other teachers from other really nice, good colleges, and they would teach you about like Zappa and stuff, and they would teach you about like just like more like funk, Earth, Wind and Fire, some like James Brown and like Tom Waits and all that stuff. Like they would teach you like what, and like a lot of Eastern music, like really cultural stuff. And when I got that in my head, I was like, this is insane. Like I really like started intentionally implementing, like we got to have like a little drum, like a little weird instrument here, a little weird thing there, more keys or more whatever, or like something to make it more funky, not just rock or whatever, and R&B a little. So it's a little bit of both, subconscious and conscious.
So when you play live, obviously, you have a pretty strong set of songs, but do you remember the first time you got up in front of a crowd and started playing your original music live?
But yeah, me, my like homie forever, like Benny Macias lives right here in Eagle Rock. We did this like funny little school talent show in Hollywood at this place called the Music Box, and it's not there anymore, but it was so sick. It was like legendary, and it was just part of a school program. But we wrote this song called "Where the Hell Are You?" And it's like, and I don't know, we were like 13 maybe, and like chubby, and it was amazing. I completely forgot about that. That's insane. Yeah, that was the first time I played anything original in front of anyone. It was a big thing, and people loved it. And I wasn't supposed to sing. We just had an instrumental, but I like really wanted to. Like I had lyrics and stuff, and I don't know why I wasn't supposed to sing. I think they had a real specific structure, so it was actually quite rebellious. My dad like snuck a microphone in front of me, and everyone was like, what? Like all the teachers were like, no, you're not supposed to do that. Like, cause I don't know, maybe it's cause it had the word hell in it, but we did it, dude. So it was a punk experience. It was like a Romeo and Juliet themed song. It's like, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Like, I think we were like learning about it, and I was like, I want to write a song called Where the Hell Are You, Romeo? And like twisted the song around. It was so like, dude, I'm sorry, I'm like really babbling, but my mind is like being blown right now because I never remembered, like I never think about that. That's insane.
We're in the memory digging business here at Big Bang Radio.
Like, I feel like I should be laying on a couch. Like you guys are like opening the floodgates right now.
Your lyricism is really interesting to me because they feel, along with like the vocals and everything, they feel like you're just trying to get something out of you, almost like, almost like it's very therapeutic a lot of times, but it's also kind of like, sometimes it's more of like we're partying, we're having fun, but also it's also like these are something that you're really feeling, you're just trying to get it out in a certain way. When you craft those lyrics, do you tend to go from like an experiential standpoint, or do you like to try to make something that's figurative that's like maybe not so much something from your own life, or are you just straight phonetics? I don't know. How exactly do you go about doing that?
I could say a little bit of both. Definitely at first it was very history based because I didn't have much experience. I was writing at a young age, but pretty much I would like read a book and I would like write about that and about that experience in my own way. I would try to I'm actually a huge like history fan, and so I loved writing about because it's crazy, like all this stuff that's happened on this planet. So I kind of like take from World War II and this and that, write songs about that at first, but now I can't help but write, like I'm trying to write metaphorical, figurative things, like just about a story about a person over there across the street. But I like years later or months later, I start to realize, wait, that happened to me. No matter what, I think the super subconscious is like everything now is like super experiential, and I never realized what all these things happen, that's why music's so amazing, and writing it's like so therapeutic. It's like, whoa, like I didn't even try to write about myself, but it just has to be. And like the certain lyrics, so like all these songs like Click on Me and Another Day and the new one that's gonna be coming out in February, and like it's just all like really about me. But I always start or try the whole time to make it about multiple different things, of course, as songwriters try to do.
Yeah. What's a typical day for you like, Derek? Do you tend to, have structured time of like, this is time that I'm going to be creating, this is time I'm going to be, answering emails, doing this kind of thing? Or do you just kind of wake up and see where the day goes?
That was a good play on words. Wake up, see where the day goes.
I was hoping you'd catch it. I said it subtly. I should have put more emphasis on it.
I wish I could say I was way more structured, but I'm not so much. But like, I guess I have just periods of pretty good structure. I guess you could call them like benders of structure, where maybe like for a couple weeks I will be very on point and do this, but then it kind of lashes out in my living space. Like if I'm like good with time and I'm like doing the email thing, which like is so important, and the maintenance on the line and all that, like you'll see my room is trashed because I'm just not, I have to do that. I'm like I can only do like one thing at a time. So really but then I'll have weeks where I'm like freaking like my room is really clean, but like I'm just like, oh, I'm like off the grid. My manager's freaking out, like, where are you? But that's when I'm like writing and stuff. So writing, like I always start writing at midnight and stuff, and like I finish at like 6 a.m. Then I sleep into like maybe just noon and get up and try to walk my dog, and it's just like a blur. It's not like a blur. It's not like a Doors movie or anything. It's just like I don't know. It's really just half and half, and it's like sporadic. So it's really not that structured at all.
So you're from Los Angeles, California, right?
Yep, born and raised.
How do you think that area, being born and raised there, and not somebody that necessarily moved there to try to get a career in music, how is that, affecting your music? How do you think that really has gone into the way that you create? And how is the music scene there for your music? Obviously, COVID aside, just how is it the area for the type of music you make?
Like, so, industry-wise, it's like LA is like kind of the place to be, at least one of the major places to be in music. So, and entertainment. So like it really, man, it opens doors. Like you just bump into the right people at the right time, and the wrong people all the time. So, but you you build that callus of, who's right and wrong. So super experiential in the entertainment industry. I've met a lot of good people, and, playing on the street, people see you. There's a lot of like musicians that live out like where there's street performing and stuff. It's just, man, it's just been so effective. If I was anywhere else, I'd probably we wouldn't be talking right now. So even if I was like out into the valley here, it's so important to be like in LA because I'm like right near downtown and stuff. But of course, lyrically and meaning and metaphysically, everything I write, it has to do with, not everything. I like to write because I've been on a couple tours and I love writing about I've been in North Carolina and like Nashville and like, see, I've met good people and I'm like, dang. And so that kind of comes out in the lyrics and stuff. And like, this is like, or, subconsciously at least. But here, like, another day is about like the BSers, just like there's a lot of that going on. So another day is all about that. Click on Me, like you see it a lot in LA because everyone's on their phone, and like you just, especially here, I'm not talking bad. LA is filled with beautiful people, and that's why I love living here. But you just see a lot of this weird masks, and like it's just so inspiring. I feel like the best thing, like, Dylan would write about is like when he's like really upset at society and stuff. So but again, like it's not all bad. It's a beautiful people, but like anywhere, there's a lot of the other side too. I don't know if that answers the question.
No,
Sorry.
it totally does. Somebody that's from there, I was really curious to kind of hear how exactly that energy is and how you look at it, since that's basically what you've known since you were young. You mentioned you've been on a lot of tours, and you played on stage with a lot of people that have made quite a name for themselves. People like Steve Vai, bands like Steel Panther, Living Color. Just a few. I know I'm probably missing a lot right there, but in your mind, what is one of your most memorable shows?
There might just be like a couple. I can't choose one. There's one where like I got to go on stage with Steve Vai and Moby, and I was like, whoa, this is insane. Like, Moby killed it. We were playing like a Zeppelin song. And like as far as like a full length show, like I opened up for Slash at the Palladium, and that was just crazy. Not just the experience itself and like the honor, but like just the stage had like a crazy energy on stage. I felt really heavy, and like really, like every step I took was like a big old step. And like it's weird. I don't know if you watch Dragon Ball Z, but there's like the hyperbolic time chamber where they go to train, and like 3 years in there is like a week out in real world, and super heavy. And that's what it felt like. Every time I think about it, I'm like, whoa, it was just like a quick 30-minute set, and I was like losing my mind. But that was the Palladium, and that was super cool. Another one was when we were out with Living Color. We played in like Fort Lauderdale in this beautiful place, the Culture Club. And it's like the stage is like 15 feet high. So it was like kind of a trip doing that. And it was a big stage, and it was a cool layout, and all these people here. And then like we played it, and then we had to go like 10 hours to Georgia. So like we started driving all the way to Georgia, and like we get a call from like the club owners, like Steel Panther's here. I think you would be great to open up for Steel Panther. We just got to Georgia, and we're like, we gotta do it. So we drove all the way back to that same venue, and they're so cool. It was such a like, oh man, we were like, woo, like really out of it. But that was a great show. Like it was super fun. Of course, the Steel Panther crowd is like super fun. So we got to play, like, we threw in like new songs and stuff. Just like, let's just try this is for fun. And like that was just like it taught me, like, it was an experience to say, like, if you're gonna like just go for it, just take your chance and just do it, whatever, even though it's not ideal. And we don't have that much money, but we're just like, let's just do it. We went back, we have to. We did it. We made great friends with Steel Panther. They're all like the best people ever. They watched our sound check for God's sake. Like, that's so like humble of them. And they're like, you guys are sick. And my bass player met like his girlfriend at that show. It was like insane. Like, it was just like all these magical moments.
One of your most recent singles, which is Click on Me, we mentioned it a little earlier in the interview. First off, that song comes in quite hot, and it's like, and this is not going to do the song justice, but the and you do the little whammy bar thing, and like when you play it live, your hair's going, and it's got the drum hits, and boom, da, boom, bum, da, and then it comes in the screaming vocals. It's a really cool arrangement. It's very, very exciting, and it's got all those elements that we mentioned earlier that really makes your music. What was the process of writing that like? What's the story behind that? And maybe you can tell us a little bit about how the recording process went.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long story, but I'll try to keep it pretty abbreviated. We opened up for Living Color, like across the U.S. for their Shade in the U.S. tour, which that album, Shade, is their last album. It's freaking incredible. I highly suggest it. We opened up for them, and we became quite good friends, or rather, they took us in as family, and they were really cool. And Vernon Reid, the guitar player, he was like, he invited me over with the help from my manager being like, come on, invite him over to write some music. But like Vernon, he's so nice. And he was just like, just, he invited me over to New York. I remember like leaving at like 3 a.m. from LA, just on New Year's Day. It was like the ball just dropped, and I was like, all right, let's go to New York, and like fell asleep, woke up, and like started writing with Vernon like 7 a.m. We wrote a handful of material, and "Click on Me" was one of those songs, and he was so instrumental, pun intended, with that song, because man, we were talking about like, how do we want to, like, what do you want to write about right now? And Vernon was like, I'm seeing people do this a lot. Like, honestly, like, I really want to write about that. And I was like, me too. Like, honestly, like, I think I had just gotten out of a relationship where there was a lot of that non-connection thing happening. I was like, I really want to write about that too. So we just wrote that song together. It was a beautiful process of creation, and like, so yeah, you could hear that like Living Color, like heavy kick in the face vibe in there. And that solo, I was like, I want to impress Vernon a little bit. It's hard to do. I don't know if he is impressed, though. I never asked him, but I'm hoping he approves. But yeah, so I wrote it with Vernon Reid, and we wrote a bunch of other tunes too. But we came back and we actually just let it sit. He told me, like, play it. You got to play it around town, get it in your fingers, get your bandmates to know it. So it's really like the next year and a half, he came through to LA, and we just recorded it like in 3 days, and it was easy. It was like, went to Hybrid Studios, we did the basic tracks, Meat Potatoes, went to Straw Horse in like the Valley here, we just freaking laid it down. It was like 2 days, 3 days of, no, just 2 days, and then like a little bit of mixing. There's like we did actually like 4 songs, and it was really cool. It was just, big old guitars and like super easy, super fun. And we went to NAMM together, and that was it. And then I don't know. Yeah, that was it.
Heard that. Well, it's a great song. It's on all the streaming platforms right now. What's next for you, Derek? Are you working on anything right now? I know we mentioned some studio time a little earlier before the interview, but how about we tell the people at home, what are you working on right now?
Right now, man, there's a lot of stuff going around, just like moving around with different people. And I've been in the studio like since November and recording a full length. But that's to be disclosed. It's kind of like we're still, mixing it and stuff. But also like, other than a couple of videos that you'll see soon, like just fun collaboration stuff, I will release a single in February, and I won't say the name and I won't talk about it because I want to keep it nice and cool, but it's a new kind of song. It's very different from Click on Me. So it's going to be another side. You'll be seeing another side of me in February, kind of thing. Just a single. Yeah. Well,
if people want to keep up with what you're doing, how can people find you online?
DerekDayMusic.com and Derek Day Music anywhere. But on that site, you should find all the socials, and yeah, that's pretty much the way to go. Also, like with my brother, like I'm so inspired by him. I really wanted to work with him, and we have a podcast. It's called Masters of Music. We have just awesome people. We had Billy Sheehan, and like we've had Mitch Perry, and like all sorts of amazing like musicians. Every week we just sit down with them and we talk music and life and art, and it's just really cool. Like that's been going really fun. It's really goofy and fun. You get to see me and my brother act like idiots, and it's fun. It's just Masters of Music podcast, MOM. So always listen to Mom.
Derek, thank you so much for talking with us. We really do appreciate it. But before we go, I got one more question for you. Now, I'm not sure if you've ever watched a Big Bang Radio Spotlight before, but I'm a musician. I have my own musical project. I play in bands. I work with bands, but I also love film. And I feel like the two worlds are not that far away from each other. And I have a soft spot for film, and a lot of musicians do too. I don't know about you, but before we go, Derek, what is your favorite movie?
I think I have to say by default, Star Wars. Very, very nostalgic for me, but it was like my first obsession. I don't know. My mind kind of went to Reservoir Dogs. It just went there. So that's kind of like what I'm into stylistically, the Quentin stuff and all that. So we'll stick with that.
Thanks to Derek for sitting down with us and talking all about his music. If you guys want to see more interviews just like this, you can go to facebook.com/Studio67NCC, youtube.com/NashComCollege, or you can find us on Instagram at Studio67NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Isaac Anderson, and until next time, stay lovely.